Hello, everybody. Hope everyone's doing well. And if the game today wasn't proof that the Mariners are playoff contenders, then I don't know what is. I'm here to talk about Grimsby's 1-all draw with leaders Bromley. And like I said, what I saw from Grimsby today, I don't usually call it just before the running, but we're playoff contenders most definitely, and it was a good afternoon, but also a scrappy afternoon. Bromley probably definitely doing a bit of dark arts, doing a bit of maybe some cheap tactics, maybe definitely trying to fool the referee a bit. There was bits of that going on with Bromley, but if we look necessarily with the team that started for the Mariners in this big game against Bromley, Jackson Smith. More about Jacko in a minute. Harvey Rogers, Maldini Kusuri, Cam McJanet, Reece Staunton. They made up the back four. Guess that David Torrey was in also alongside George McEachran, but with Burns, Green and Vernon making up the midfield four, or five if you want to put it like that. And Andy Cook leading the line. And obviously Andy Woodman, manager of Bromley. It started well for the Mariners, really. We should have been ahead early on within the first 3 minutes or so when Vernon had a chance cleared off the line. He just could not get enough impetus on the ball to get it over when Kieran Green crossed it. He just couldn't quite get enough on it to see it past their keeper, which was so frustrating. And we made a couple of good moves after that. Again, Chaz down the side. Doa Burns, fantastic game for him. Going into the first 20 minutes, he was a handful for them. We put some good balls in the box, but not quite enough. There was, I wouldn't say a litany of efforts, but some real good play by the Mariners really made it difficult for Bromley. But we knew exactly what sort of game it was going to be. I think that was one of the reasons why he brought Andy Cook in, was more for the physical presence, especially of their centre back Omar Salumni, who obviously being about a 6'6" defender himself. Still, I necessarily wasn't happy with the way he acted during the game, I must admit. But unfortunately, it was Bromley that broke the deadlock when Nicky Kabamba, who had come in for Michael Cheek. Obviously, Michael Cheek went off midweek for Bromley with an injury. But a little bit of unlucky defending. I won't say sloppy defending, but unlucky defending. A bit of a mix-up really, and then just slotted the ball into the net just on the half hour. But to be fair to us, I mean, we'd played well. We'd played well up to that point, and you're thinking, right, lads, just don't let your heads drop. Don't let your heads drop. And to be fair, you always like the key little moves that Grimsby were able to put together now, and they were pretty much doing the same thing with McEachran. with Vernon. Apparently Vernon had been feeling his, I think it might have been his thigh or something just before this. But the man has got back into it with from a penalty where saying it was Jude Arthur's that handballed it, and it was a clear handball. You could see it. It was good play between Vernon and McEachran and I think it was McJanet as well. No, it wasn't. It was Staunton. Apologies. But there was good play between the three. Looked like George just flicked the ball into the middle, and it came off Arthur's hand, and it clearly did come off his hand. And the referee, of course, put it to the spot. There was no real hesitation on that, and obviously Chaz has been feeling an injury, and but he did step up and powered it past the goalkeeper to make it level. And thinking, this showed what Grimsby are like right now. And it showed that even going for the remainder of the first half, we were, I won't say dominant, but, then probably the tactics started to come in by Bromley. They were going down every single chance they had. They were so direct. I thought Kasori did fantastic defensively, especially Cook as well when dealing with Sawunni. And you knew straight away that's what they were going to do. But Sawunni was going down unbelievably easily. Every single time Bromley had a chance to go down, they did. I think a lot of the time the referee bought it. There was a couple of legitimate fouls by our boys, but a lot of the time when Bromley were going down, I'm not talking about the goalkeeper going down, which happened in the second half, where they happen. We can't say anything because I know it happens with Jackson Smith, so we can't say anything about that one. But you look at the ease at times. They have one game plan, Bromley, and that is get the ball upfield as quick as you can. They nearly scored from it just before half time as well. They played a ball, literally one ball up, totally out took the midfield. But luckily, one of our defenders got his head on it to head it away. But that was right. Don't worry about playing football, just play about being direct. And they did. We went in 1-0, 1-1 at half time. Town were good at pressurising, especially going in the second half. They were pressing a lot more when Bromley's keeper had the ball, when Grant Smith had the ball, or it was coming to him. People were pressing, people were pressurising, and it was when Town got the ball down, we broke with some pace. Didn't really make Grant do an awful lot, but early on in that second half, James Cabier did come on for Chaz at the half-hour mark, and he did make Grant Smith save a couple of real good chances just after the hour, which made you think the Mariners feel they can get this. They feel like they can really cause Bromley some trouble, and even with the changes made, I thought that was probably Jay's best performance on the wing, because he's not a natural winger. People were wondering why Vernon and why Burns, why not KB? KB's not a natural winger, that is why. But obviously he had to come on after Chaz's little setback. Hopefully it's nothing too serious. Apparently, he just felt a tight. I think it was a tight groin. Artel said during his post match. So hopefully he'll be okay. Another week before we play again now. But I've also got to give some real credit towards Jackson Smith. There was two real big chances. One right at the end of the first half, which he just tipped over, and again very commanding, was not afraid to come out, and he had a chance where he sort of flapped, which you don't see Jackson do very much, but he still got enough on the ball to make sure it got away. In the second half, though, he didn't really have anything serious to do till sort of right near the end. In the last, as I say, in the last 15-20 minutes, at the end of in the final 10 minutes, he made a fantastic save from Ashley Charles with an absolutely great free kick, and the way he got to that, the bend that Charles got on that to dig that one out by Jackson was absolutely phenomenal. And even more phenomenal was in stoppage time. They had a great cross in, to be honest, and Subumni, like I said, the guy that seemed to went down easier than a sack of potatoes. He did get a good header in, and how in the world Smith reached that, I do not know. But Jackson Smith really proving his worth, and Andy Cook again, the same from an attacking standpoint. Didn't get that many chances, but boy did he work hard. And but he got man of the match on the by the sponsors and that. But a lot of fans I was talking to after the game said Jackson Smith said how the saves that Jacko made absolutely immense, and more fans calling for us to try and sign Jackson Smith permanently, and you can see why, because his two saves there really got us something out of that game. And I would say now to anybody sort of in League 2, just before I wrap this up, because I'm going to go through a couple of stats with you, if you don't believe Gunsby is serious business, now you've got to. It's one loss in 15, so I think it is now 14, 15. It's serious form, and disappointed obviously not to win, because I think that chances wise, we probably created the most, although they did have the two best chances, to be truthful, those that Jackson saved. But I think to get a point against Bromley, who, we can criticise them because we knew what they were doing. They were going down for none, if anything. They did, I think, trick the referee a couple of times. There was a couple of times where the referee was to it and realised it, and there was a couple of times where you're thinking, he's done you there, ref, But at the end of the day, you look at it really, they're 16, now 17 games unbeaten, and we got something out of that game. I know Artel was talking about in his post-match, saying that, it would have been an outstanding week if we'd won it. Still a great week. It's 7 points from 9. If you'd have told me that when we were going into, the 3 games that we've had in the last 3, if you'd have said last week that we'd have gone and won against Notts County the way that we did, then obviously won them midweek. and now to get a point against the league leaders, and before all the games this afternoon, as I record this evening, but as I record this in the afternoon, we actually end the weekend in the playoff places, which it just shows you what being difficult to beat can do. And we end up with the shared points. Deserve that at the absolute minimum, especially for Jackson's two amazing saves. And I think we just hope that Chaz's injury is just precautionary and not too serious. Doesn't seem like it is, but you never know. We'll see how it calms down, I'm sure. And when he's in on Monday, I'm sure they'll have a clearer picture as to what's going on. But if we look briefly just at some stats before my closing comments, the Mariners edged it on possession, 55% to 44. But Bromley's game's not about possession. It's about, like I said, maybe a few dark arts. Definitely just make it difficult. They remind me a lot of us the first time under Russell Slade. We very, very direct. They weren't worried about the midfield. They were just worried about trying to get the ball up. And to be fair, they only had 7 shots the whole game. They didn't have many clear-cut chances apart from their goal, 3. Apart from their goal, maybe 2 other chances, which was... we had a free kick, just going back a little bit, and I just turned around to the guy next to me and I said, look at the size of that wall. And I think it was some sort of Bell that took the pop or took the shot. No chance. Absolutely no chance. He was not getting over, round or anything past that wall. And that's what Bromley have got. They've got the height. They're not worried about playing football per such. They're difficult because, like I said, they know what they are. They know they're not the best football team. They know they're probably one of the weaker, poorest football teams in regards to quality of football. But when a team knows what they are, I have to give them credit where credit's due. When they know what they are, and they know they lack a lot of overall quality that a lot of teams haven't got, and also I think not having Michael Cheek there didn't help. Whether we like the tactics or not, where they bought some decisions off the referee or not, that is what Bromley are, and it's leading them to be successful. So you can't, as much as you may not like it, I think you've just got to say they know what they're doing, and if they get promoted with that, I'm saying a lot of people say, I wouldn't want to see them play them every week. But if we were doing it that way and we were top of the table like them, you wouldn't complain about it. And I'm sure Bromley supporters couldn't care less. They're not going to care whether, they play fantastic football or they're the ugliest football team in the Football League. They're not going to care about that. If that's going to get them promoted, then... what I will say is fair play to them. You could tell that Andy Woodman, I think he kind of enjoys it, He loves I can tell he loves the banter between the Grimsby fans and him. We always talk about the 98 situation with Andy. But I actually think, from Andy's perspective, I think there's a lot of respect there. I'm not saying but I'm saying respect there for the banter and the fact that he does take it. To be fair, he did get booked as well in the first half. There was a lot of innocent incidents. It got feisty because you could tell what Bromley were doing, but they didn't really create all that much overall in the game. Bromley had 15 touches in our box, 35 for Grimsby. Jackson Smith had 4 saves to make. We actually made their keeper, in general, make more saves, 6. They won more aerial duels, no surprise there. 47 to 37. But they committed more fouls, 13 to 10. And 1 corner in it. 6-7. We were very dangerous from corners. Our set pieces, especially the corners, were a very, very dangerous side of our game. Not quite enough. Total passes, we beat them by 60 passes. Pass accuracy, 58 to 49, or 50 really. 31 backwards passes for Grimsby, 41 for Bromley. Forward passes, 134 to 161. Total long balls, we actually had more long balls than them. I think in certain periods we were playing into their hands, but our defence absolutely dealt with Bromley really well. 76 to 74. Successful final third passes, 42 for Bromley, 69 for Grimsby, and that just total crosses the same, 23. I think, you can see what they were doing. They were trying to make better angles, and at times Bromley were just where they needed to be to make the clearances. But overall, you've got to give our lot the credit, really. Yes, Bromley is still 17 unbeaten, but no one's coming here and having an easy time of it, even them. We stood up to their physicality. And to be fair, the lads on the pitch during the game kept their heads. I have to admit, towards the end, I was just about, when the final whistle went, I was just about to leave, and I think it started to kick off. You could tell. Apparently, somebody had said something to Kasuri. I don't exactly know what's gone on. Apparently, Andy Cook has said something. I know it was mentioned in David Artell's post-match. Obviously, we won't go into that, and we don't need to go into that. I'm sure they'll deal with whatever that is internally. So it did get a bit, heated towards the end. Definitely, I think it was just more Bromley's behaviour, but we knew what they were going to do. And I've said, and I'll say this again, they're not about playing football. They're about being effective, being ugly to play against, being difficult to... If they can get you to lose your rag, they've won. Thing is, yes, we don't have to play them for the remainder of this season, and we've come out of a 10-game spell where you'd take the points haul that we've had. You really, really would take that points haul. So we'll have to see what happens. Obviously, with the fracas or disagreements towards the end, hopefully everything gets sorted out and cleared out. But at the end of the day, a 1-1 draw for the Mariners, coming away with something after a very, very successful week. Could have been better, probably should have been better. But if you'd have said at the start of last week that we'd had Notts County, Salford and Bromley and not lost to any of those three and beat 2 out of 3, yes please, you're going to take that as a week, aren't you? That, to me, we've got more out of this week than any of the other 3. You know what I mean? It's so to me, there's a reason why we're 7th. Yes, we've had other teams slip up and we've gone above on goal difference. Like I said, right now we lie in 7th, 56 points, goal difference above Chesterfield and Crewe, because they lost very late on, one was to Shrewsbury, and obviously Crewe lost to Barnet, I believe it was. So that puts us in the top 7. Love it, especially with a few of those teams still to play. It's looking like a really good season, and that was a good point. What you would say, a very good point. And to react the way we did very quickly. Hopefully Chaz's injury isn't too serious, and hopefully he'll be back for next week when we go to Oldham. Which itself is not going to be an easy game. They're on some real good form. Oldham Athletic are as well. So it's a point. We take the point. Artel disappointed not to get the 3, but we got something out of the game, and I think it's a credit to us as a team that were able to do this. I do want to just give a shout out to something I'm part of, which is the Grimsby Town Disability Supporters Association. We're doing some great work for the disabled fans of Grimsby Town. It was their game, the Level Playing Field Unite for Access game that was picked out for this one, and it was great to see the green scarves. I didn't have mine. I've got mine. I found it when I got home. But it's always big about access for the disabled, and with me obviously being disabled myself and being part of the DSA, it was proud to see flag bearers, disabled flag bearers, and a lot of the disabled supporters. They're great. Always great to catch up with all the guys in the main stand where the disabled fans are at the moment, and I hope that we do have some good things going on. Anything from that I can share with people, any announcements that come up with that, I will mention that. So if you do have any people that are Grimsby fans and are wondering, what do the DSA do, I'll try and get a video out for that. It's towards the end of the season, so look out for that. But it was a great initiative, and it was great to send everybody home reasonably happy. We're down to not quite the running just yet. We're down to the last 11 games of the season. If you were at Blundell Park, let me know down below what you guys thought. Apologies for the preview, not happening. As you can probably still tell, I'm still a bit head colded, and I don't think you've understood me before with the preview, so I thought I'd give you the review rather than the preview. Hopefully I will try and get one out for Oldham next week. But do leave me your thoughts down below on the game. Obviously, are you going to be a little bit disappointed about the draw, but that it wasn't a win? But how do you take this last week as a Mariners fan to end the week in the playoff places? You can't really ask for much more than that, and a game in your hand, and a lot of the teams around us as well. So it's all looking strong with the running incoming. So let me know down below what you guys think. That is me done. I will be back with a preview for the Oldham game. As you can probably tell, my voice is getting a bit stuffy again, so I'm going to stop here. Do like, share, comment, and subscribe. And like I said, the women are doing well, the youth are doing well, the women are about to win their league as well. It's all looking rosy at Grimsby Town so far. Let's see how we can finish this season. After Oldham, I will be doing a running video for the last 10 games, and I will do a run-in of what actually the fixtures that Grimsby Town have remaining with 10 to go. But that will come after, obviously, the preview and the review of the Oldham Athletic game, which is next. So like, share, comment and subscribe. And I will see you for the Oldham preview. Until then, up the Mariners, and would you Adam and Eve it, we're in the top 7. Things were all good. Apologies about what's come out of my nose just there. I do apologise. It can't be helped at the mo. But I will see you guys in the next one. Ta-ra for now.